Who called you on the phone? Why did you come back? Tell me!
I didn't know, please.
Tell me!
You disgust me, you stink, you are always useless. You eat all my money for nothing.
Good for nothing.
You useless woman, how dare you feed me nonsense?
Please, I am sorry.
Susan smiled
look
for
at
the
this
camera.
crowd.
It's all for you, my
Beautiful
love.
jelly.
And you, smile
Matching
for the
dress.
cameras.
Zukiru's hand resting perfectly on her waist. Couple goals, someone captioned the photo, and
This event is
400
incredible.
people
We have
liked
to
it.
post. Totally.
But
I'm posting
under
to my
that
story.
sleeve
Me too.
was a
Perfect.
bruise
Share.
she covered with concealer. Under that
love you
smile
so much.
was a woman
I
who
love
had
you
been
too, my
called
beautiful bride.
stupid, useless, and ungrateful 17 times that week alone.
Who called you on the phone? Why did you come back late? Tell me!
I didn't do anything wrong.
You disgust me, you stink, you are always useless. You eat all my money for nothing.
Good for nothing.
What is this? You're texting him?
It's not what you think.
Nobody
Don't
knew.
lie to me!
Not
Oh!
the church. Not Instagram. Not even her own mother. How long can a woman keep performing a life that is killing her? Let me take you back to where it all began. Because what you see in public is never the full story. The picture went up at 9:14 a.m. on Sunday.
I need you to behave. If not, you won't like it. My reputation is more important.
Grateful for this man God gave me. 5 years, and he still makes me feel like the luckiest woman alive. Number marriage goals, number Sunday service, number blessed. By the time they walked into Redemption House of Prayer, it already had 212 likes. Susan walked beside Zukiru in her cream lace dress, the one he had approved the night before, holding it up and tilting his head the way he always did when he was deciding whether she looked decent enough. He had rejected the first dress, the green one. Too tight, he said. You want men to be looking at you? She put it back without a word. In church, Zukiru was magnificent. He held doors. He placed his hand on the small of her back. He laughed at the right moments, greeted the right people, and when Pastor Emmanuel asked couples to hold hands during prayer, Zukiru reached for hers and squeezed gently. She felt the warmth of it and hated herself for still wanting it to be real. Susan, you are glowing, oh, said Mama Chidinma after the service, touching her face. Whatever
Susan,
you
you are
people are
glowing,
eating in that
Whatever you people
house,
are eating in that house,
share the recipe.
Mama, it's
Laughter.
a secret recipe.
Susan laughed too, bright and easy, like a woman without a single heavy thing inside her. Beside her, Zukiru smiled, proud, satisfied. Her friend Ada was watching from a slight distance. Ada had known Susan since university, since before the MBA, before Zukiru, before all of this. She watched Susan laugh and felt something she could not name. A faint wrongness, like a song playing slightly off-key. You okay? Ada asked quietly when the men drifted toward the other side. I'm fine, Susan said. The words came automatically now, reflexive, like breathing. Ada looked at her a second too long. You seem tired. It's just work. There was no work. Zukiru had asked her to resign 18 months ago. A wife's first job is her home. But Ada didn't know that. What Ada did not see, the way Susan flinched slightly when a man nearby raised his voice to greet someone, the way her eyes tracked Zukiru across the room constantly, monitoring, always monitoring. That morning before church, Zukiru had found a text on her phone. Her colleague, Priscilla, asking if they could meet for lunch that week. A simple text, 6 words. He had stood in the doorway of their bedroom holding her phone, and his face had done that thing gone very still and very cold. He didn't shout. He rarely shouted. Who is this? He said quietly. It's just Priscilla. From my old office. We haven't even... You're deleting her number. Zukiru. She's just a friend. Delete it. He set the phone down on the dresser and walked away. And Susan deleted it because it was Sunday, and she needed to get through Sunday without his mood darkening the entire day. Now here they were, glowing, goals, blessed. The drive home was silent. She had said something in the car after church, something small and harmless about the sermon, and he had not responded. When he was like this, she learned to become invisible. She looked out the passenger window and watched Lagos move past. Okada riders weaving, hawkers pressing close at traffic lights, a woman laughing loudly into her phone. She used to be loud like that. She couldn't remember when she stopped. Inside the house, he went upstairs. She went to the kitchen. And that night, after everyone had praised their beautiful marriage, Susan locked herself in the bathroom and cried. Again. Just like she had done every Sunday for the past 3 years. He had been the most attentive man she had ever met. That was the thing nobody understood. When people heard stories like hers, they imagined a monster from the beginning. A man with darkness written on his face. But Zukiru had been warmth and laughter and certainty when she had needed all three. They met at a professional mixer in Victoria Island. He was in a navy blazer. He laughed at something she said before she had even finished saying it. By the end of the night, he had her number and was already texting her, just making sure you got home safe. She had smiled at her phone in the back of the Uber like a teenager. The courtship was beautiful. He called every day. He showed up to her office once with jollof rice from her favourite restaurant in Surulere because she had mentioned in passing that she was stressed. He was present in the way that made her feel seen, chosen, special. Her mother loved him. Her friends loved him. Pastor Emmanuel called him a man of character. There were small things she noticed but folded away. The first time they argued, he had gone completely silent for 4 days. Not angry, just gone. Unreachable. She had apologized just to bring him back. She told herself that was just how some men processed things. At her aunt's birthday dinner, he had commented that she laughed too loudly, too freely. You don't have to be the center of attention everywhere, she adjusted. But in the engagement period, he was still mostly the man she loved. The shift came quietly, like weather changing. 2 weeks after their wedding, a glorious event at a hotel in Lekki, 400 guests. A cake that had been photographed by a professional. He came home and found her on the phone with her friend Bimpe. She was laughing. He stood in the doorway and waited. When she ended the call, he said, "What is so funny? What were you telling her about us?" "Nothing," she said. "We were just talking." He told her that some friends were not good for a married woman, that Bimpe was single and would project her own failures, that Susan needed to be careful about who she allowed to speak into their marriage. She thought he was being protective. She loved him for it. That was the beginning. Within a year, Bimpe had been phased out. Then Priscilla. Then the work trips she used to take. Then her small business she ran from home. It distracts you from this house. Each thing removed with logic that sounded reasonable, even loving. The first time he called her stupid, she cried for an hour. He came to her afterward with his arms open. "Baby, I'm sorry, I was stressed. You know I don't mean it." He bought suya from her favourite spot and they ate it in bed and she thought, okay, adjustment period. It would get better. Her mother, when she only hinted, that things were hard, had clicked her tongue. Every marriage has seasons, Susan. Pray, submit. He is a good provider. She told herself it was just stress, just adjustment to married life. It would get better. But it didn't get better. It got worse. Monday. He checked her phone before leaving for work, scrolled through WhatsApp, checked call history. She stood by the bedroom door and waited, the way you wait for a result you already know is bad. "Who called you at 8 p.m. yesterday?" "Her cousin." He could see the contact name. He handed the phone back, said nothing. But the silence had a texture to it, thick and warning. Tuesday. She went to the supermarket. She had 45 minutes. She knew this because he had told her when she left. "You're going to ShopRite, not London." She was back in 43 minutes. When she put the bags down, he checked the time on his watch, then looked at her and said nothing. The looking was enough. Wednesday, he came home and the stew was too peppery. He didn't eat. He went upstairs. She sat at the dining table with her own food going cold in front of her and recited Psalm 23 inches her head, which was something she had started doing when she didn't know what else to do with her hands. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." She wanted so many things. Thursday. A good day. He was in a pleasant mood. A deal had gone well at work. He brought her chin into his hand and said, "You look beautiful today." She felt the warmth rush through her, that familiar, desperate warmth, and hated how grateful she was for it. That evening he held her hand while they watched TV, and she thought, maybe it's turning around. Maybe I just need to be more patient. Friday. She forgot to reply to his text quickly enough. He had sent a message at 2 p.m. asking what she wanted for dinner. She was in the shower. She came out at 2:09 and replied immediately. By the time he came home, his jaw was set. "You couldn't reply for 9 minutes." She explained about the shower. 9 minutes, Susan. What exactly were you doing? She had learned not to argue. Arguing extended the thing, made it curl around the whole night, so she said she was sorry, and he said, "I don't know why I married someone so careless. My mother warned me." And then he went to his study. She sat on the bathroom floor, her place of refuge, and pressed her back against the tub. She had no access to their bank account. Her name was not on the account they used for household expenses. When she needed money for anything, she asked him. Sometimes he gave it. Sometimes he asked so many questions that she decided she didn't need the thing after all. She had lost 12 kilograms in 2 years. Neighbours thought she was dieting. Saturday, flowers. He came home with red roses and a takeaway order from the Thai place she liked. He was tender, almost gentle. He said he was working on himself. He said she was his world. She arranged the roses in the vase they got as a wedding gift and felt the familiar confusion, the not knowing which version of him was real. Both versions were real. That was the part she could never make anyone understand. She'd learned to read his footsteps. Heavy meant he'd had a bad day. Light meant he was in a good mood. That night, the footsteps were heavy. Very heavy. It started over a WhatsApp group. The Church Women's Fellowship had added Susan to a group chat. Sister Ngozi had added her personally, warmly, without asking Zukiru's permission. Susan had not told him. She had kept it the way she kept small, secret, necessary things, quietly. He found it on a Thursday evening. He was going through her phone. He always said, "Let me see something," and she always handed it over, and he saw the group, 37 women. Conversations about Bible study, school runs, a shared recipe for coconut rice. His face did the thing. "Who told you to join a group without telling me? It's just the Women's Fellowship. I don't care what it is. You don't join anything without discussing it with me first. Zukiru, it's a church group." He threw the phone. Not at her. He was precise about these things. The phone hit the wall beside the wardrobe and cracked across one corner and landed on the floor. She did not move. She had learned that moving suddenly made things escalate. She stood very still. "You have no respect," he said. His voice was low and steady. 5 years and you still behave like you have no home training. Your mother raised a child, not a wife. He left the room. Susan stood there for a long moment. The cracked phone on the floor, the roses from last Saturday already wilting in the vase on the dresser, the sound of his footsteps going down the stairs, heavy, deliberate. Something moved in her chest. Not grief this time, not the usual despair, something harder. She picked up the phone. The screen still worked. She walked to the window and looked out at the estate, the quiet street below, a neighbour's dog, children somewhere playing. Normal life, just outside these walls. The neighbour, Mrs. Effiong, in flat 6, had knocked earlier in the week. "Susan, I just want to ask, are you okay? I sometimes hear..." She had trailed off, kind and uncomfortable. Susan had smiled and said yes, everything was fine, just the TV loud. Mrs. Effiong had nodded slowly, not fully convinced. That knock stayed with her now. She looked at her phone. Then she did something she had not planned to do. She opened her email, the email app he never checked, because he thought she only used one account, and she started typing to her sister Amaka. Not the full truth, just enough. "I'm not okay. I need to talk to you. Please don't call the house number." She pressed send before she could take it back. Then she sat on the edge of the bed and breathed. That night, while Zukiru slept, Susan opened a new email account he didn't know about, and she started writing everything, every insult, every threat, every lie, every date, every incident. Dates, times, words he had used, things he had broken, ways he had made her feel like she was losing her mind. She was done pretending. Amaka called from an unknown number the next morning, while Zukiru was at the gym. Susan answered on the first ring. She told her sister everything in 22 minutes, standing in the kitchen with the tap running so the neighbours wouldn't hear through the thin walls. Amaka cried. Susan did not cry. She had moved past that particular place, somewhere into a cool, determined quiet. "You're coming to stay with me," Amaka said. "Not yet. I need to do this properly. I need documentation." She had been reading. At night, on that second email account, she found an organisation, Stand Strong Nigeria, a domestic abuse resource group operating out of Lagos. She had emailed them. A counsellor named Funmi had replied within a day. They spoke over the phone in short, careful calls during Zukiru's gym sessions. Funmi told her what to document. What would matter? What wouldn't? So Susan documented. She noted dates in the email drafts. She saved screenshots of his controlling messages. "You're not going anywhere today, and don't reply to any number I haven't approved." She recorded one conversation on her phone, just audio, just his voice, when he told her that if she ever embarrassed him publicly, she would regret it. She kept the recordings in the cloud, an account he didn't know existed. Zukiru noticed the shift. Of course he did. He was calibrated to her years of watching her, reading her. He started coming home earlier, checking her phone more often. He took the iPad one evening and went through her browsing history, found nothing because she used the private mode now, and handed it back with a look that told her she was being watched. He bought her new earrings, pearl drops. "I just want us to be good," he said. She wore them and said, "Thank you." Ada came by on a Saturday. Zukiru was at a site visit, a rare few hours. Ada brought Chin Chin and Chapman and sat on the kitchen counter like they used to in university, and Susan told her, "Not everything at once, but enough." Ada's face went through several things. Shock, guilt, anger. "Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think anyone would believe me." "Susan." Ada's voice broke. "He's so..." She stopped. "In church, he gives testimony. He's the one who..." She stopped again. Then, "I believe you. Whatever you need. I'm here." The church anniversary was in 2 days. Everyone would be there. All the people who had liked the photo. All the people who called them couple goals. Pastor Emmanuel. The Women's Fellowship. Mrs. Effiong. Everyone. Susan looked at her phone. At the recordings. At the messages. At the evidence of 5 years of hell. And she made a decision. She did not plan to do it publicly. That was not her intention. When she walked into the church anniversary with Zukiru's hand in hers, smiling, dressed in the outfit he had approved, She had planned something quieter she would leave while he was at the event. Amaka's car was parked 3 streets away. Her bag was already packed, hidden in the boot of Ada's car for 2 days. She was going to simply disappear at the right moment. But then Pastor Emmanuel opened the floor for testimonies about marriage, and Zukiru stood up. He straightened his agbada. He smiled that smile, the one that made 400 people on Instagram feel something warm. "I just want to thank God," he said, "for giving me a wife who is patient and prayerful. Susan is my peace. Marriage is not easy, but with a woman who submits and trusts God." Somewhere in Susan's body, something unlatched. She stood up. The room noticed. Zukiru turned, surprised, and his eyes did the thing went still and cold, but they were in public, so his face held the smile. "I have a testimony too," Susan said. Her voice was steady. She hadn't known it would be steady. "I want to thank God for giving me clarity and courage." She looked around the room. At Mrs. Efyong, who had knocked on her door. At Ada, whose eyes were shining. At her mother-in-law in the front row, who had once said, "My son is not perfect, but you must manage him." "For 5 years," Susan said, "I have been told I am stupid, useless, that no one else would want me, that I cannot use my phone without permission or speak to my friends without reporting back, that I should be grateful he married me." Her voice did not break. "My husband is a gifted performer, but performance is not love, and I can no longer stand here and be part of it." She walked out. Ada was already at the door. They did not run. They walked. What followed was not clean or cinematic. There were phone calls, his, her mother-in-law's, numbers she didn't recognize. There was a lawyer Funmi connected her to. There was a week at Amaka's apartment in Bagada, sleeping in her sister's bed like they were children again, waking up and lying still for a moment each morning before remembering she was safe. No footsteps to read, no mood to predict. Zukiru's response was exactly what Funmi had prepared her for. First denial, then a flood of messages about how she had embarrassed him, then a performance of brokenness sent through his pastor. He's devastated. He's repenting. The church community fractured. Some people sent Susan messages of support, quiet and private women who recognized something in what she had said. Some defended him. A few said she should have handled it privately. One woman in the fellowship sent her a voice note simply saying, "Me too." Zukiru's business partner requested a meeting with him the following week. 2 clients quietly moved on. The reputation he had spent years building began to breathe out, slowly, like air from a tire. He had nothing left that he had not built on the performance. Susan, 6 weeks later, sat on a small balcony at Amaka's place with a cup of tea and her phone. She opened Instagram for the first time since leaving. She posted a single photo, no filters, no husband, no caption about blessings, just her face, just her smile, real. Not performed, not pretended, real. And so Susan learned that her peace was worth more than anyone's applause, that a marriage certificate is not a prison sentence, that what people think matters less than what God knows, and that sometimes the bravest thing a woman can do is simply tell the truth. The people who once called them couple goals, they learned that you never truly know what happens behind closed doors. And that silence protects the abuser, never the victim. If you are reading this and you recognize Susan's life, the walking on eggshells, the phone checking, the isolation dressed up as love, please know what you are experiencing has a name. It is abuse. And you are not overreacting. And you are not alone. Help exists. Stand Strong Nigeria 0800 STANDUP. Your family, a trusted friend, a counselor, a lawyer. One step, One person, one honest conversation. Susan's smile today is real because she chose herself. She chose life. She chose freedom. And that, my friends, is worth more than 1,000 perfect pictures.